recording.
Yay.
uh, hey everyone, welcome back to Super Good Biz. Today we're going to be speaking with Michelle. So we'll both we'll both be Michelle. Great name.
Michelle.
Yeah, and Michelle is the founder of Black Owned Market, which is a platform and marketplace and also subscription, which I'm excited to learn more about, for people to shop Black-owned businesses. So excited to talk to you and hear more about the business and how you all are doing business.
Yeah.
So, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Michelle. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you too.
Yeah. So I guess the first question is how we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing pretty well. So I'm kind of like a one-stop shop, one-woman show here. So mainly running everything from my childhood home, which is interesting right now. I have a few freelancers that I work with, but they also have full-time jobs. So I bear the brunt of the business and running the business operations daily. And honestly, I've been feeling really at peace with things. There's a lot of cool things coming in the works or that I'm working on right now behind the scenes that I'm hoping will come to fruition in the coming weeks. So yeah, I'm feeling good.
That's exciting. It's also great to hear that, with everything going on and the times that we're in, that the business is still moving forward and you're able to get support from freelancers and dedicate yourself to something that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
So I want to rewind a little bit because I know I described Black Owned Market as, platform marketplace, but I'd love for you to tell us about Black Owned Market, what it is, how it's different and all the different services and the businesses that you're supporting.
Right. So the is or the BOM or the Black owned market, whichever
Yeah,
is.
am I saying it wrong? Oh my gosh,
No,
please
it's
correct
like
me.
it's whichever. Like some people use the Black owned market. I say the BOM for short.
Oh, then I
It's
will
out of
say the
tag.
BOM. Yeah.
It's honest. It's whatever. Like if you don't know what the BOM is, then it's like Black owned market. That's what it stands for. But I say the BOM like all the time. I say both, so no issues. So we are a curated shopping destination that makes buying from Black owned brands convenient. And we started in 2016, in December of 2016 in New York, in Dumbo, Brooklyn. We rented out a loft space called 26 Bridge. And it was a magical experience because at that time I was trying to put eyeballs and get people interested in the idea of shopping from Black owned brands and making that part of their day to day. It's not something that you have to actively search for.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a few people in the space that were already doing this work, this great work, but it really wasn't a mainstream thing or something that people really thought about. Oftentimes people would say like, why does there need to be a Black owned market? Why does this need to exist? And I was so happy that from our first market, the people that got it, and they understood the mission. And I think my team and I did a really good job at educating people and making them understand why this is so important. And I think the reason why the BOM is different is because of our curation and our design. I remember in my first briefs writing down that I really wanted it to be like an upscale marketplace. So when you come here, you're just going to be enveloped in kind of beautiful designs. And oftentimes with the business owners that we have in our marketplace, this is the first time they're interacting with these customers or these people that will hopefully be their customers. So I wanted to make sure that they were seen in the best light. So I work with an event producer and her team to really make sure that every brand has an individual design that speaks to BOM overall in the space. So yeah, it started off as an in-person physical space, and we did that for a few years before it grew into e-commerce in 2019. And also in 2019, we did our first test run of a physical store space for 5 weeks in my hometown of Boston after primarily operating exclusively in New York. So that was fun to come back home and bring it back home. It was welcomed with open arms. And I was so excited in 2020 to kind of just start the fundraising journey, really raise funds off of, brick and mortar and all of that. And then, COVID hit. I think everyone has that and then COVID hit story.
Mm-hmm.
So with retail being the hardest hit, it kind of put me at a standstill as far as what I was thinking. So thinking now primarily e-commerce first versus thinking brick and mortar first, because that's how people were used to experiencing the bomb. Like we're just a big hit when you come into our stores, just because I like to say that we're just overall retail, like we're just doing some things that people just forget about, like really catering to customers, but also the business owners that are in our space. So right now we're in a space of flux. We're just in Hudson Yards. We did our first mall activation. I'm sure you'll ask about that down the line, but right now we're just I'm trying to focus more so how we expand online. We launched our subscription service in 2020 to get more people interested in shopping from Black-owned brands. So we're figuring it out. I can say that.
Yeah, it sounds like there's two elements, because you mentioned a few things that caught my attention, which was curation and the experience of the market and the design, and being able to also help each of these business owners present themselves in a way that's authentic to them, but also
Okay.
representative of the market and what you're curating. So it's about having this luxury market that provides just a more, it's not just providing products, I guess, is like what I'm getting to. It's about a
Yeah.
certain experience you're trying to provide. Can you explain like what that experience is? Like, what do you want the folks that are coming into BOM to experience, or the folks that are exploring it online or buying the subscription service? Like, what are you trying to create? What
Yeah.
feeling or experience?
So in 2016, when I first started, and I look at a lot of the things that I wrote, initially it was about dispelling the myths about Black-owned brands, and really myths that kind of trickled down from Black people, or that people thought about Black people. So if this was going to be the first time that people, whoever came to our market, experienced Black-owned brands, I wanted it to be in the best light possible. I wanted to dispel the myths that, were out there, that Black-owned brands weren't of high quality, or they were too expensive because people didn't realize they were paying for basically slave labor. Like we're all guilty of it. But if you want a higher quality, you're going to have to pay more for it. And I just wanted to show people what Black-owned brands were made of. And a lot of the brands that are a part of my market, they at that time were doing 10, 15 pop-up markets a year just to get seen in front of their consumers. So I just wanted to make the BOM, or the Black-owned market, a space where you knew you were coming and you were going to find new brands, to discover new high quality, amazing brands to shop with and continue shopping with, even beyond the BOM and you leave those doors. So I just wanted to make sure that the customer coming in was just like, they became lifelong customers because they found them at the BOM and they had a good experience. And I think goes that goes for any retail or anything you're supporting, and you're coming out of your house to support. Because I think before the pandemic, retail was definitely dying, brick and mortar was dying. And if I'm going to a store, I want to make sure that I'm going because it's either something that I want. I'm going to make sure that the experience is good, maybe customer service is great, and the products that I'm bringing or that I'm buying are amazing. So I wanted to I wanted to provide an experience and make people excited to get out of their house and come
Yeah.
up with us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Who is your audience?
My audience is interesting. It's everyone, but I would say my audience primarily is Black people because that's who I serve, and that's who it was made for, to elevate those brands and businesses. So it's twofold. And I would say the secondary audience, or really they kind of are tied, to be honest, because we need both. You can't have one without the
Right.
other. Are customers that want to discover Black-owned brands. So that can be anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that is, I mean, in 2016, it might have started to happen, but I I feel like it's much more of a conscious decision that um, people are making now, like shopping Black and buying from Black owned businesses. I think with everything that happened last year and Black
Mhm.
Lives Matter and people waking up to the reality, I think people are more conscious about investing in shopping Black and helping the Black community more.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that's something that this is it's almost like you had started before this consciousness has arisen and now this wave is catching up to you. Like I
Mhm.
actually read a quote the other day and it's now reminding me of what what you have created, and it was sometimes the world has to catch up to where you are because your vision is way ahead of its time.
Mhm.
And that's what kind of spoke to me as I explored bomb for the first time, or the bomb. Because I was like, wow, like this existed longer, like years before the world had catched up. And it doesn't mean that it wasn't needed. It was just that people hadn't woken up yet. And so I think it's a really, really powerful idea. And the fact that subscription service is starting and there's so many more ways to explore to both support the Black community and provide a way for the Black community to shop Black and to support the community, but also for the non-Black community, you know, white, Latinx, Asian, you know, to also
Yeah.
support the community
Mhm.
and being conscious about what they're buying,
Yeah.
and making that accessible. So I think that's really inspiring. Um,
Thanks. That's a great point because I think when I started in 2016, that was there was just so I started with like a Facebook invite. Nobody's on Facebook anymore, but in 2016 we were. And I made a Facebook invite just like I worked with a graphic designer to put out these images and like telling people the who, what, where, whatever, why. And at that time, the algorithms on Facebook were so favorable that like if you saw your friend was going to something, like it was on your feed and that would hopefully encourage you to go to it. So we had over like 3,000 people that were like interested in coming. I think only like 10% of those people, so like 300 people actually ended up coming. But it was still amazing, like the conversation and the message or the feed, I don't even know what they called it, but the event feed message was like, why does this need to exist? Like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. It was like such like polarizing
mm-hmm.
conversations that were happening at that time. And I remember at Thanksgiving, I put it up around Thanksgiving, just constantly checking, like seeing what the conversation was. And I wouldn't say that people aren't really asking those questions anymore, but those questions are, I don't really get them anymore. So that's,
Yeah.
I think people, like you said, are finally starting to catch up. And a lot of times I felt like I was almost talking to a brick wall. Like I knew it was important. I was trying to, I think the customers after coming to the bomb, they knew what it was important. And the natural word of mouth got out there, especially in New York City. Like we're known in New York City, but I want it to be like a worldwide thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That might be another, like, kind of, I was going to say service, but it's not a service, but another impact of the bomb existing is creating that conversation,
Yeah,
because your audience are going to be like both communities, whether, you know, it's the Black community, they get it, they understand, there's no explanation needed.
right,
There's going to be some people in the non-Black community who get it, but then there's going to be other people who don't. And so perhaps there's also like everyone's on their own journey of understanding,
mhm,
you know, what's happening and being anti-racist and understanding how to build a better society. And so I think building having something that
mhm.
exists that is a reason and almost creates conversation, because it is a conversation starter. So for the
Yeah,
folks who don't get it and who are saying, oh, why do we need to shop Black, why is that important, and they don't understand, like this is an opportunity for the people who do understand to have that conversation with them, whether it's on Instagram and they're commenting back and forth or they're sending it through DMs. So it also, that could also be another benefit of just by existing, it's creating conversations and helping move the conversation forward. um,
right. I think that's a great point. And I approached that two ways. In the beginning, I used to do I used to try to educate people and tell people why it existed. But 5 years later, or 4 years later, technically, it's almost exhausting. So it's at this point where I think the people that get it kind of get it and want to understand. Like people will reach out and the people that want to understand to get it and really want to support and really understand like why this is important, but there's other people that just want to reach out and just argue and be combative.
Mm,
And
mhm,
there was a point in time where I was constantly trying to argue with these people on social media. And I'm like, why am I even doing this? This is taking from my business and my purpose. So at this point, it's just like you can tell the people that are genuine and want to support this mission, and really just want to better their lives. Because at the end of the day, it's not charity. This is like, these are real, like I like to say, for profit businesses, like everyone else out there that just want to be on equal playing field and get their products out there so that they can create a better life for themselves and their family.
mhm, mhm,
That's the
mhm.
reason why people get in business.
Yeah, and for their future family and for their community
Everything
and
well.
being able, yeah, being
Yeah.
it's the economic mobility that you can get from starting a
Mhm.
business provides so much other opportunities in your life that you can afford and that you can pass down and you can share.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I started this and wanted to focus on for-profit businesses. Like, I don't want to talk to nonprofits.
Yeah.
Nonprofits are doing great work,
Yeah.
but I think business is where there's lots of opportunity, because once a business is sustainable, it can change policy, it can change laws, it can change perceptions and beliefs on how people do business, or how people should shop, or what products they need. Like,
Mhm.
it's a slow, movements can be slow and take time, but I think
Mhm.
when businesses exist and show that there's demand, it actually, especially small businesses, it actually can make the bigger corporations take notice and then create change as well. And then you have both innovators and scale happening at the same time. And
Right.
that, I think, like, business is just way more powerful than I think we typically think when it comes to creating some sort of social change and helping communities thrive.
Yeah.
Um, Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that, no, I just said good point. That's, yeah, that's it.
Well, you had just mentioned your mission, and I wanted to ask you about that. And from the website, the mission was envision a world where Black brands thrive. And I wanted to ask, how you define thrive and what that looks like and what that means to you.
Yeah. So when I envision a world where Black brands thrive, I think about us being finally on an equal playing field, where it's not so hard for us to get the funding needed to propel our businesses forward. We are easily discoverable. We are living and sustaining off of the profits of our business. We are sustaining ourselves, our families, and our communities off of the businesses that we created. Because of the businesses that we have created, um, it trickles down into that generational wealth that we strive for and that we're hoping to gain, by creating these businesses. Hopefully, it results in multiple streams of income. It results in lack of pressure from trying to figure out how you're going to pay for your college tuition or your education, how you're going to live a luxurious life if that's something that you want to do. Um, it's just like those questions aren't really something that you're asking yourself because it's a byproduct. You're waking up every day and you're not thinking about your finances. It's second nature for you to just run your business, run it as a clear-minded individual and not have to think about, okay, how am I going to be marginalized today?
Mm,
How am I going to be, who's going to look at me, who's going to pull me over, who's going to possibly take my life, because that's a real thing too. I just want to wake up and just be. And what would that look like? You know?
that was really beautiful.
Yeah, of
Thank you for sharing
course.
that. That would be a beautiful world.
Yeah. It would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I just don't know if it's something that's obviously gonna be fixed in our lifetime. We
right.
have a long way to go. But I'm hoping that businesses like theBOM and allies can really form together and, I mean, it's more than just this that needs to be fixed. It's like shopping from Black owned brands is one element, but there's just so much systemically that
Yeah.
needs to be fixed. And it's a larger conversation, but I feel like we all have different roles and how we play them in this world, and we are created for different things, and this is my piece
Hmm.
of the pie that I'm choosing to tackle.
Hmm.
I'm choosing to uplift and make sure that Black owned brands are seen and experienced in a way that people haven't experienced them ever.
Can you tell us a little bit about a couple of the brands that are in your market?
Yes, I can tell you about them. This is always hard for me because I feel like I'm picking favorites, but
I can list a few of them out on
yeah,
the
it's like
YouTube and on Instagram.
yeah, no, it's fine. So I'll go with like some of the people that always like hold me down, because they've just been there from the beginning. So I'll start with Lit Brooklyn. Lit Brooklyn is a candle company, obviously based out in Brooklyn. She is a business owner, born and raised in New York City. Started just really from her home candle pouring, and now her business is just massive. Well, she probably wouldn't describe it as massive, but for me, who has seen, like, I think she was only in business for a year at the time that she did theBOM, and just to see where she is amazing, and how like just genuine she's been able to stay authentic. She's super hardworking. So shout out to Daniqua from Lit Brooklyn. Um, Another one that's like coming to mind is Folk. Folk is a skincare line. Um, it is it is founded by Niambi, and she has started Folk really just as a clean beauty brand. It helps with just any skin pigmentation, acneic skin, just unruly skin, great skin because skin can be great as well. But I just love her products, and her packaging is just beautiful. I'm not sure if she's in any stores currently, but I know that's what she's working on. So yeah, I love Folk. I love Lit. Pure Home also. Pure Home is a detergent or cleaning product line.
Hmm.
And I mentioned she was founded by Angela. I mentioned her because like I remember at the time that I found her, I was like, this is amazing. More people need to know about her. And I think the nature of COVID, people are looking just for cleaning products anyway. But then once George Floyd and the uprising happened, her business took off. So it was the compounding nature of like, okay, she's a cleaning service and it's COVID. And then now like everyone's trying to support Black owned businesses. So from this point, like she grew from like a following of like a couple thousand to like 30, 40,000 now. And now she has her own warehouse. So it's like beautiful to see.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that she's going to see massive success in the future. Like probably I could foresee her being in major stores if she's not having those conversations now. So those are three of the people that I'll stick to mentioning.
It's also amazing to see, just to hear their story, like how they started and where they are now, and like the kind of like hurdles of entrepreneurship and owning a business, and it goes up and down, but then to be able to see where they are now and that growth is also really inspiring.
Yeah, yeah,
How do
it is.
you sorry, were you gonna
No, it is inspiring. Even in just speaking it out loud, I'm like thinking about thinking about them and their growth, and I'm like, this is really cool. I'm so happy for them.
yeah.
Mhm.
um, it's also a symbiotic because you're seeing these businesses grow as you support them, and then they're also part of your business and watching your business grow, so that's
Yeah,
all helping each other,
right.
get that awareness out there.
Hmm.
How do you select the different brands, and how do you kind of approach business differently? I think you mentioned earlier that you had come from corporate America. So, like,
Hmm.
has there been any conscious ways that you're making decisions differently, or figuring out which brands to support or what's right? I just kind of curious on how, what's your kind of guiding North Star kind of business criteria, or how are you making decisions about the business and running the business?
Yeah. So initially, I started with just finding brands in my neighborhood of Brooklyn. So people that I heard of primarily that didn't have brick and mortar. And I was just like, okay, like how can I make this different from anything out there? Because there at that time there was a list of like, oh, 50 Black owned restaurants to shop at. And there was a company that was doing it and doing it well, but I didn't want to create another directory, another list, because I wanted, if there's this stat out there that Black people have over $1 trillion in buying power, but only 2 cents of every dollar goes back into Black owned businesses. And I'm like, okay, to me, that sounds like lack of access, because we have the buying power and we're spreading it across all these different companies that are easily accessible to us and marketing to us intentionally, but it's not going back into our communities. But I thought, okay, what if there was a space that existed that just made it easy for people to shop with Black owned brands? And voila, that's the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so initially it was just people in my neighborhood. Then it became business owners recommending other business owners that were in their network. And then it just became people that I saw and came across Instagram that I just saved, people with great stories, people that had quality brands and products. Because it wasn't just for me about um, all Black owned brands, any Black owned brand. I really wanted to make sure that it was curated in a way that it was people that um, just had quality offerings and that I knew would do well in the space. Because as someone who is creating theBOM and making it my mission to, make sure that these businesses are seen in a great light, I also wanted to make sure that if you're coming to theBOM, you're going to find some place to shop and products that you like. But also, these business owners are making money, like tons of money, because that's the goal at the end of the day. And repeatedly, um, bomb brands and people that are part of theBOM have reported making way more than our competitive markets or being at other pop-up markets. So
Mm-hmm.
they know that when we reach out at theBOM, they're like, yes, we're going to do it. So it's like we've become the, prior to COVID, the market that people want to be a part of.
Yeah, it's almost, I just had this thought, and I was like, it's almost like you created like its own industry. Like you were like, move aside, the stores that you go shopping for the things you need, like skincare or Bath
Yeah.
and Body Works or CVS, or, like move
Yeah.
aside, like we're creating a space where you
Mhm.
can shop for Black owned products, and it's across, you mentioned candles, you mentioned folk and pure home. There's like all of these variety
Yeah.
of products, but
Mhm.
there also, is there like a theme around self-care? Is that something that's kind of like intentional, or is that a little accidental just because
I
it's like
think
an
it was
interest?
like definitely unintentional and accidental. Like it was one of those things that the tagline that I use online is like find Black owned products for your everyday lifestyle.
Hmm.
So I think about products that we're using every single day. So how you wash your face, what are you using for that? What you're using to moisturize your skin, what you're using to clean your clothing at home, to clean your home, what you're using for really anything, grooming. So I think unintentional, it was just, I wanted to make sure that we had products that people can easily swap out and fit into their everyday lifestyle. So that's,
Yeah, it's also a smart business move, because those are the things that you buy on repeat
yeah.
and people have on auto ship when they go, like it's almost like skip the Amazon and come to this place where you're
Right.
actually investing in a community and small businesses, and helping like homegrown businesses actually succeed, and
Right.
kind of like channel that $1 trillion, which is so much money. And you said it was
Much.
2 cents of every dollar.
Yeah, I'm sure it's changed now, but the stat that I read at the time was 2 cents of every dollar went into Black owned businesses.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was insane. And I was just like, how could I read this and not do anything about it?
Yeah.
Especially because I didn't even mention that my parents are small business owners. So that's why I think I'm even equipped to even do this business and start this business is because of them. And they own a beauty supply store and still do in Boston, Massachusetts. And I hopefully that will be one of theBOM's first locations because they're like at retirement age. They should have retired a long time ago. But I never had the funds and the means to really put in the work because it's very mom and poppy. Put in the work to really redesign it to make it like new school and make it a collaboration. Because I still would like to keep it, pay homage to what they created, but make it an overall bomb space. So it's kind of like passing the torch type of thing. And
Yeah.
I think it's a great story that I look forward to telling. And I look forward to creating it. I'm lucky to still have them here to be able to even pass anything to me. So it's something that I don't take for granted. And I'm just like, all right, like maybe this is what it was supposed to be. I was supposed to create theBOM in a space that I've been going to since I was 2 years old.
Wow.
So it's really cool to have that.
That's that's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like have you started, I mean, I'm gonna say Pinterest board, but have you started like visualizing what you want the space to look like?
Yeah. That's
Uh,
been the work since day one.
yeah. So do you envision theBOM like when you like close your eyes and you think about, okay, 5, 10 years from now, like do you envision this store like a CVS? Like there's different like stores all around the country where people can shop for their, everyday lifestyle needs.
Mhm.
Or is it like a combination or something else altogether? Or is it a combination of like you have like an aisle within those big department stores and retail stores, and in addition to your own pop-up shops in different places? Like
Yeah.
how is it, like what's the vision right now at this moment?
I think it's definitely the latter. It's funny because I used to be like a 5, 10 year person all the time, but just as of late, who can really think
Yeah,
in
2020, it's like what's 6 months from
yeah.
now?
Yeah, seriously, what's tomorrow look like? So
Yeah.
it's just so now I'm like, I don't put that much pressure on it. But if I look in my old notebooks for theBOM, like I looked in one like a few months ago, and it was something that I wrote 5 years ago, and it's like, I want theBOM to be in major major cities, so like New York, LA, and Boston by product because I'm from here. And I want it to be, yeah, physical stores because, like I said, like when you physically experience this in person, it's just unlike any other store you've been to. Um, in addition to, like, I wanted to expand in the food space because, like, there's so many people, like, bomb foods is what I wanted to call it, so many businesses and Black businesses that are doing amazing in the food space. And I want to create like a marketplace that is just dedicated to food. And I don't know if you've heard of like Decal Market.
Mhm. I think
Yeah,
so.
so
Yeah.
Decal Market in Brooklyn, they're just food, a marketplace for food. And that's just something down the line that I thought
Yeah.
of. But yeah, like you said, it would be stores, physical stores. We'd be killing it online. In addition to that, with our partnerships, like right now we're in Hudson Yards as serving as a store within a store. So it'd be more of that. Like I'd love to have a store within a store at Target, a store within a store at Walmart,
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
store within a store at like any big box retailer that you can think of. Just because I think we have a service that is unmatched, and a lot of these big box retailers are signing on to this 15% pledge, but they don't know how to properly execute, and we are literally the solution.
Yeah, that's a huge opportunity. I'm thinking
Yeah,
like the home decor space in Target where it's like its own little um area, and then they
yeah,
actually design the area. I forgot what
right.
it's called. Um
I
it's
know
it's
exactly what you're
it's a
talking about.
specific brand, and
Mhm.
it's the type of design that they put in those products is different than elsewhere in the store, and then they curate the space. And I can, oh man, that'd be so awesome. Like you like walk
Yeah.
in, it's just a completely different experience, and to
Mhm.
be able to have that with the scale in those big stores, in addition to having your own store where you have control over everything and can
Yeah.
experiment and
Mhm.
try different things.
Mhm.
That sounds really awesome.
Big box retailers specifically are trying to step up what that looks like for them. So I
Hmm.
think there's a huge opportunity, and we have some great things going on behind the scenes and interesting conversations that were happening. So hopefully down the line, I'll be able to update you on what's going on when things
Yeah,
get secured and signed. And
yeah.
for me to have such a mission driven business, I want to make sure that my decisions aren't dictated because I have to make a VC back their money.
Hmm.
I really want to keep it pure, as pure as I can, for as long as I can.
Yeah, I totally hear you on that. Like, I think it's so important for businesses to not change or veer course because someone is dangling the carrot of, we have money to invest in you, because the whole company can shift if the mission or the values aren't aligned with the VC and the company. So I
Mhm.
that definitely is a struggle I think a lot of companies um, have to go through. When you were mentioning fundraising, can you explain like how that works? Like, how are you, or what's the need for fundraising? Like, do you also, like, how do the business, like, do the businesses, I guess I'm trying to figure out your business model.
Yeah.
Like, there's a subscription box, so you're getting money specifically or directly from customers through that service,
Mhm.
but from hosting the market, like typical markets, a business will come and
Mhm.
pay to be a part of the market.
Yeah.
So is the fundraising just kind of like added revenue in order to help sustain and start to open up these like pop-up shops, or?
Yeah. So I would say it's twofold. So there's a part of, you're getting money for goods and services, and then there's part of like growing and how to scale the business. So a lot of what I've done has been bootstrapped. So the marketplace, I would say, more so in the early years, was just to get the word out there of the bomb. So it was like a minimum viable product, or MVP, just to show people this exists and this is why you should shop with us. It's kind of more so a marketing tool. In addition to the e-commerce that I launched in 2019, it's something that I would love to grow rapidly, but with e-commerce, you need a lot of money to grow it. You
Mm,
need money to spend on Google Ads. You need money to maybe buy product. You need money um, to pay your warehouses to even ship your product. And these are expensive things. And the e-commerce right now is intentionally small and not really representative of like the final stage of like how I envision the business going. So these things such as the subscription box and e-commerce have been able to help me sustain and put me in the green, but it's definitely not enough to really expand in the way that I want to, like opening up our brick and mortar and really expanding our e-commerce in a way that is competitive with like other e-commerce stores out there.
mhm,
So there's definitely a way to go. I'll say I am a profitable business, but in the way that I want to scale, I need more financial backing.
mhm, mhm. That makes sense, because retail stores are expensive, and
Yeah,
opening up, and the real estate of the stores, and
yeah.
everything.
And the good
Um,
thing with my deal with what my parents have, it won't be as expensive to get it off the ground. So I wouldn't need millions of dollars for VC funding, but a couple 100,000 or two
yeah.
sure would be helpful.
Yeah, I'm super excited for you. I can see you, speaking on stage about this,
Mhm.
and in the stores, and creating your own stores. It's also, I just want to go back to something you said in the beginning, because you were saying some of these stores are trying to do this, but they're doing it so poorly because they're falling into these stigmas and myths, and they're telling the story wrong. They're not, because the narrative in the story is part of this, and the conversation is part of this, as well as the biggest part, which is that business and supporting business and creating intergenerational wealth and being able to allow people to thrive,
Amen.
specifically the Black community. So
Yeah.
um, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. It's been really, I feel like I've learned even from talking to you. There's things that I didn't realize, just hearing you talk about, like I had to explain why this was important. And, you know, some of the questions I had was, can you explain why this is important? And then
Yeah.
I was like, you know, maybe people need to do the research and I can just put some links to help them. But like,
Mhm.
you know, if you don't get it and you're interested, like here's the time to put in the work and the energy of learning about it and reading and educating
Yeah.
yourself.
And there's actually a great article that was published in the New York Times that I had the pleasure of being a part of in 2019. Um, it actually launched on December 25th, 2019, and it was about Buying Black being rebooted, or Buying Black Rebooted is the title. And it was written by Anthonia, and she basically highlighted some leaders in the Buying Black space, some of my peers in the Buying Black space, and really, I think she did a great job at listing out, why this is so important through our different perspectives. So that's a good starting point.
Yeah, I will link that article so
Yeah,
folks can read that.
yeah,
So thank you so much. I'm so excited to see what happens. Also, last thing, what else can we do to support you besides, you know, subscribing to some subscription boxes or going to your site at the moment if we're either in New York or not in New York? You know, e-commerce seems to
yeah.
be the fleeting way.
So I'll start off by saying the subscription box is on hold. It will be, so if anybody's looking to subscribe, it will be available in a few days.
Okay.
And you'll be able to shop, which is amazing. I think the biggest thing would be, I always say, like, funding is our biggest hurdle. So whether you know of any grants, if you know of any, angel investors that are looking to come on board and support this mission to help us, skyrocket and take it off the ground and bring it to the next level, please let us know. If you are connected to any big box retailers, quite possibly that we can pitch and just get in front of and tell them all the wonderful things that the bomb is trying to do and how we can help them support Black-owned businesses. I think those are the three areas that are best for us.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Hmm.
Hopefully someone out there, all you fans, can help.
Yes. Appreciate
All
it.
right.
Appreciate it. Mhm.
Thank you. We'll
Yeah.
talk
Thank you
soon.
so much, Michelle. Bye.
Bye.